It was a sunny day in Ponyville. Thunderlane was taking care of some chores at home, while he was also very excited because his long-distance girlfriend from Baltimore is coming into Ponyville for a few days. They have been together for one year already. He was so excited because he feels happy to be with her. They, since they don't usually see each other so often, since due to her living so far away, but he was just happy and excited. They actually met over a close friend to him who lives also in Baltimore, and he was actually in Baltimore to visit his friend when he was introduced to this mayor, and he started liking to her. Even though there were actually a couple of his friends from Ponyville who actually had encouraged him to start dating. He spent a lot of time with the Wonderballs or with some close friends or with his younger brother Rumble. But after being encouraged by start looking for a girlfriend to be with, when his old friend from Baltimore had reached out to him and invited him for a visit, which he took, and that was then when his friend introduced him to this mare, which he started liking to. After a couple of months, they start dating and became an official couple. And now he was very excited because she is coming to Ponyville for a few days. But they were decided to meet at the park around 1 p.m. And he actually arrived to the park just 5 minutes before then. And he waited by the fountain, which they usually meet at. But when the time when the clock was about 1 p.m., she wasn't nowhere. But it was not the first time because it has happened before. She has been late a couple of minutes before, but as the time went on, 5 minutes went, 10 minutes went, and soon almost 20 minutes. Thunderlane was a little bit not, but it wasn't really much worry. But after that, almost in half an hour, he started to get a bit very uneasy because she has never been this late before. But then suddenly, Derpy, the town's local male pony, arrived and gave him a letter. He thanked her, and it was actually from his girlfriend. Maybe she was saying that she was going to be late, maybe on a day or so, but it was not quite what he expected. In the letter, it said that she is not coming to Ponyville at all because she has stopped falling in love with him and she had actually started dating some other pony from Baltimore. Reading this letter really devastated him. He felt betrayed, heartbroken, devastated all at the same time, and he couldn't even believe it. They had been together for just 1 year, and he could see a potential life when they together, get married, have a family together. But now all this happening, coming crushing down and burning just by a single letter. He felt so betrayed. So he just went home, lay on the couch, and just didn't know what to do. When Rumble came home, he had found his brother on the couch because he knew that he was going to spend time with his girlfriend when she is coming to town. When he asked him, he said that she is not coming because she dumped him because she had found somebody else in Baltimore. And his brother really was devastated as well because Rumble liked her because she was very fun to being around. She could telling good jokes and all that. She was a good cook like his older brother. But he told him that he would find somebody else to be with. He nodded, and then Ramble said that he's going to be at Bottom Ash home for the day. So he did. So for the next couple of days, Thunder Lane didn't do much at all. Because after 3 days, Rainbow Dash showed up by his home and asked if he is coming back, if he was coming with her to the Wonderbolt Academy for a practice. But he said that he wasn't really feeling well. So hoping to tell the others that he might be back later on every couple of days, and she agreed to tell him that. But the same afternoon when she came back, she found him at the park. She's sitting there just alone. She wasn't really sure what was going happening because she wasn't aware of the breakup. When she asked him if something was wrong, he said, "It just, my girlfriend dumped me by a letter." Rainbow stood there dumbfounded, but she told him that she felt heartbroken for him. And he said, "I don't even want to know. I don't know what to do anymore. I have expected to be with her. I mean, we had even talked about a potential marriage and start a family and all that together. I was even thinking of moving to Baltimore to be with her. But to be honest, I was even thinking of propose to her after a couple of months. That was something that Rainbow didn't even know. Well, she said to him, well, you may find some pony else to be with. I mean, the world is big enough, and just try to stay away from dating for a while and then try it again." "Yeah, I might do that," said Vanderlei. And then he went back home. But after a couple of days more, he decided to tell Rainbow that he has just decided to go to see some other friends, another friend in Trottingham for once. And he told her that to inform the rest of the Wonderballs that he was not going to be in town for a couple of days because of that. And she promised to tell them. At the same time, he went over to Cloud Chaser's home and asked her if she can look after Rumble for a few days, since he's gonna leave town, and he told her the reason, and she were aware of the breakup. And she promised. And this is not the first time that Rumble had been looked after by Cloud Chaser. Sometimes she had done it a few times before, and she didn't mind it. And he actually had also written a letter to his friend who lives in Trottingham that he's coming over. His friend wrote back and said that he is always welcome to see him in Trottingham. A couple of days later, he arrived to Trottingham and he was met by his friend Open Skies by the train station. They went immediately to Open Skies' apartment where they have lunched and just talked about it. Open Skies, an old childhood friend to Thunderlane. Trottingham was a good place to stay at because Thunderlane used to stay there a couple of times with some relatives who lives in Trottingham. So in sometimes in the summer, he used to spend a lot of his childhood there, and that's how he met Open Skies. And they maintained their friendships over the years and kept in contact by letters and even went to see each other often. When he was informed that Funnel Lane had become a Wonderbolt, Open Skies was so excited for his friend because he knew about that was actually his dream to be a Wonderbolt. But over time, they saw each other less and less. But it was something like because Rumble had also been taking care of his younger brother, Rumble. So during the couple of days when he was in Trottingham, he was having a good time. They went to the bowling alley, to the movies, or just went out to eat something. But even though then his friend tried to make him to cheer him up, but having his ex-girlfriend on his mind made it very hard to forget. After all, they had been work together for a year. He was really excited to be with someone like her, but he doesn't even know if he can trust her anymore or something like that. But only when it was only 2 days left of his vacation time in Trondheim, Open Skies took him to a restaurant where they could just small talk and have a good dinner together. And he also said, "This pasta is the best that they have in the entire Equestria," he said with a big smile. And even Thunderlane actually agreed on that. But then when Open Skies asked him, "You know, I actually have a question to ask you though." "Oh?" Yeah, since you know that your ex did, and would you have ever considered being dating a stallion by any chance? As that was a question that Van der Lane never even knew or even thought of. But he knew that his friend Open Skies was into stallions. And when he told Van der Lane years ago, he was very supportive, which Open Skies was very thankful, grateful for. But overall, Van der Lane said something like, I, I, I have thought about it before, but never actually considered it at first. What do you ask? Open Skies was a bit silent for a moment there, but then he said, it is just that for the past 2 years I have been in love with you, fondly. The reason I did mention this to you, since you were already in a relationship a year ago, I didn't want to jeopardize your relationship with her, and our friendship. That's the reason why I didn't mention anything about this. But having hearing what she did just stumped you like that, and I just at least want to inform you how I feel. And I understand if you really don't like me the same thing back. I understand that. But then Thunderlane said, you know, I kinda have a feeling you like me that same thing. I mean, how much you smiled at always knew what was best for me, even in the past. That's true, said Opus Guys. And for that, I'm now thinking that why not give it a try to see if this could be something between us? Wait, are you serious? Asked Opus Guys. Yeah, I'm serious. So they decided to go to the movies the next evening, which they did, and they actually had an amazing time. They had us they had a lot of things in common. There was great time well spent together. They actually went even to a diner afterwards to have a small dinner together. When they went to Open Sky's apartment, where Thunderlane was staying at the time, they actually had a great time. But sadly, by the next day, it was time for Thunderlane to go back home, since he had his responsibilities to take care of his younger brother Rumble and to be a Wonderbolt. But they promised each other to see each other as often as they could. When he came back home, he never mentioned about this date to his friends back home because, well, for another reason, he knew that they would be supportive. It just there was a lot of things to handle, the process. And he just wanted to have his good time for his friends, but it didn't take long for his friends to be informed. When they were found out about his relationship with Open Skies, they were supportive, as always. Even Rumble was actually happy to see his brother to find someone else to be with, even if it was his childhood friend Open Skies. But overall, they were just happy to be with somebody they really liked so much about the whole world. Over time, they actually sent letters to each other as often as they could. Since they couldn't see each other as almost single day, so they wrote letters. But it happened that one day, Open Skies actually admitted that he is coming over to Ponyville the next couple of days to spend time with him and to even hang out with Rumble. And Thunderlane was so happy. And only 2 days later, Open Skies did, in fact, arrive to Ponyville, and Thunderlane even introduced him to some of his close friends to Open Skies, and they immediately liked him. They could see how the the characteristic, his personality, his generosity, his kindness of all. They saw him as a good sense of humor, and it's something even Rumble enjoyed. The love between Thunderlane and Open Skies was an unbreakable bond. Even Open Skies really much loved Thunderlane so much in the whole world. He would do anything to see him happy. And one day, when the winter had arrived to Ponyville, Thunderlane had asked if Open Skies was willing to come over to spend Heart's Warming Eve with him and Rumble. And Open Skies didn't hesitate to say yes. And a couple of days later, or at least a couple of days before the holiday itself, Open Skies and Thunderlane spent a lot of time. And when the holiday itself came, both actually helped to cook the dinner together, and Rumble for once could see how happy Thunderlane were with Open Skies. Seeing how they were singing together those traditional holiday songs and smiling, just seeing how happy his brother were, it made him happy inside him too. And even on the holiday, they actually had us a great time. But then, a couple of days after the holiday was over, Open Sky was out flying in the area outside town when it was a normal, cloudy, snowy day. Thunderlane was at home with Rumble, just taking care of some things when they noticed the wind outside had increased speed. There was like a small storm outside, and Thunderlane was a little bit worried that Open Skies hasn't even returned home yet. But Rumble said that he is probably on his way home now. But as the minutes went on, almost like and after almost 1.5 hour, and after a half hour, no signs of Open Skies at all. Now, Thunderlane was getting more worried about what to do. But as he opened the door, was a big blizzard outside. And even Rumble told his brother there is no way for him to go outside because no pony in the world could even fly through that storm. Not even Rainbow Dash, Rumble said. But Thunderlane said that he had to go because Open Skies was probably still out there somewhere. But Rumble said he's probably found some shelter, probably in the somewhere in the area, or maybe a taken shelter at some of our friends. Even that was something that Rumble could have pointed at. But it was still in the early afternoon. And during the blizzard, there was actually a knock on the door. And Thunderlane was excited to see Open Skies. But it wasn't. It was actually Cloud Chaser. Cloud Chaser, what are you doing here? Oh, Thunderlane, you're home. Yeah. I had to inform you that has Open Sky returned him home yet? No, he hasn't. Why? Well, I saw him a few hours ago, flying around outside, and I don't know what to say, but he was flying around when the storm started hitting and when the blizzard around FA Forest. But I was the last I saw him. Wait, so you're saying he's still out there, in the middle of the storm, without protection? Yeah, it seems like it. Okay, can you make me a promise? Yeah? Stay here, look after Rumble, and if he tries to stop, if he knows what I am, tell the truth. But make sure he doesn't go out there. Wait, are you going out in the blizzard? Are you crazy? You can't fly in this. Even I couldn't. I do have to try to find Open Skies. I cannot. I can't. I can't forgive myself if something happened to him. And then, before the Cloud Chaser could even say anything, Thunderlane opened the door and smashed it behind it. Rumble saw the Cloud Chaser staying there. Uh, Cloud Chaser? Where's my brother? At first, he had no idea what to explain, but then he made it. He figured out. Wait, are you seriously went out in this weather? Rumble said. Went out the window trying to see his brother, but the snow was pelting down the skies so much it was blowing too much. He could even see even like a foot in front of him. During the time, Thunderlane tried to fly in the storm, but it was pointless because every single time he was pushed to the ground, but he managed to stay airborne for only like a few minutes each time. But after a lot of struggle, he arrived to the Everglade Forest. He started calling out, screaming for open skies if he could hear it. But nowhere. Nowhere at all. Open skies was probably somewhere in the forest, hurt, or maybe unconscious, he thought himself, or even worse, dead. But he had no other options, so he ran in the forest, screaming while running around for any signs of it. Even if there was any footprints on the ground, they would have been completely covered in seconds. But he stopped, listened, calling out, listened, repeated. He was devastated. He just believed he had lost his only true love. But then he heard a faint voice in the distance. He couldn't exactly hear if it was being said, or who it were. But as he continued, he tried to follow the sound, and eventually did. And it was actually Open Skies. Open Sky was okay, except one of his wings was broken apparently, and he was trapped underneath a big tree branch, which is something that Funnel was able to remove. And it said, I'll take you home. But it was pointless for him to carry Open Skies on his back all the way to Ponyville in this blizzard. The world was impossible because he could barely see anything in front of him, and even his footprints was gone. And it was too very dangerous for him to fly in the air middle of this blizzard. So he had only one option: walking, even if it meant it would take him the whole night to walk through this blizzard. But then he realized, remember, Fluttershy. Fluttershy lives very close to Evergreen Forest. So, and it wasn't even that far. So he informed Open Skies about it, and he said that was probably best. So they went there. Luckily though, she was still up, having some hot cocoa with Angel and some of the animals. She was surprised and knocked on the door and see Funnel Lane and Open Skies. But when she saw Open Sky on his back, hurt, she immediately let them in, gave them warm blankets, some hot cocoa, and looked after Open Sky's broken wing. But it turns out it wasn't broken. It just misprint. But at least that was not the serious part. But Open Skies told even finally that he was crazy to go out in this blizzard. But Thunderlane only had only one answer. I would do that again and again for you, my love, because you mean so much to me. I don't care if I jeopardize my own life, but I really want you to be safe. Even if it meant I had to sacrifice my own life. You mean so much to me. After the blizzard was over, which were around in the morning, both Open Skies and Funnel went back home. Rumble was at least relieved that his brother was okay, and even okay that Open Sky was not seriously injured. But Thunderlane gave him a promise not to do that again to Rumble, because he didn't want to put him in for this stress, dreadful, and fear. And sometimes later on, Thunderlane actually went to see Open Skies in Trondheim, and he proposed to him. He couldn't be more happier. They decided to have a close wedding with close friends and family. Rumble was chosen to be Thunderlane's best man, and Open Skies had to choose another friend of theirs to be his best man. They actually had their honeymoon on a small tropical island resort for a week. They had a great time. And after a while, though, after like 3 years after being married, Thunderlane and Open Skies, they decided they want to start a family. So they decided to adopt a child. They adopted a daughter from a local orphanage in Polnaville. And only like 3 years later, they adopted a boy from the same orphanage. Both Open Skies and Thunderlane were just happy to be with the one they loved the most of the whole world, and especially to have a family. Even Rumble was happy to be an uncle, even though he was happy though. But at least for one thing, Thunderlane was actually happy that he actually suggested that they went on a date the first time all those years ago. And he even was happy that Open Skies admit his feelings for his own friend. Because if he hadn't done it, none of this true happiness, pure love, would not have been happening, not have been possible. So both were really happy it did happen. So this is how Thunderlane and Open Skies found a true love and got a big family together. The end.